Good morning, team. It's a great privilege to do this and to be able to speak to you today. By now, some of you might have seen some of our videos, but let me start with the proper introduction. My name is Yaku, or in the character company known as Uncle Yaku. I am the dad and the founder of the character company, a long-term mentorship program for young boys that are growing up with absent fathers. And we are so blessed to be part of your program and that we can present you this morning. And that's such a great blessing. But so I'm going to talk a little bit more about what we want to achieve through this and who we are and where we come from. But firstly, let me introduce my team that's been really working on this program that we want to present today very specifically. So so here they are.
Hi, my name is Tandem. I'm a mentor and an intake coordinator at the character company. I came across the character company about 2 years ago. Just after I graduated, and that was the time that I was still confused and I didn't know what I wanted in life. And the character company afforded me an opportunity to be part of this program and be part of the mentors team.
Hey guys, my name is Willie and I'm part of the team here at the character company. First of all, thank you for this opportunity to tell you guys a little more about what we do, and also more specifically about our camps and the plans we have for our campsite development.
Maybe some of you haven't had the time to look at the original video we sent in, so maybe as a start we can do some of that. So I'm going to show that to you right now. Have a look at this. This was done at our campsite, so it's not we had a bad hair day by then. It was the end of a camp, so have a look at this and then we'll chat a bit more. The company essentially deals with young boys that are growing up with absent fathers or where there are no positive male role models in their lives. And it's unless you've gone through that experience yourself, it's sometimes very difficult to put yourself in the shoes of a young boy that are walking a road, searching for identity, searching for purpose, searching for a place to belong, and doing so all on his own. If I look back over my life, I realized that there's a lot of stuff that I knew that wasn't working well and could have been different. And yet, if I knew how to fix that on my own, I probably would have done so to avoid myself all this headspace of trying to search for identity and search for purpose. And so I think as a starter, the foundation I want to lay here is that growing up without a positive male role model or dad in your life creates a space in a boy's life, especially starting at that age between 5 and 10 when dad's impact is the highest. It starts a process, or it creates a wound or a hole that's basically becomes a lifelong purpose journey to try and fill. And if I look back at my life over the last I've been trying for 40 years to fill that 5-year gap, and I sometimes think I haven't made a dent in that. It's like I'm stuck somewhere as a little child in a grown-up body, and there's stuff that just doesn't make sense, and stuff that takes a lot of work to discover and to work through. And absolutely by the grace of God, I've been privileged to experience His grace, to be able to deal with a lot of these things and to try and understand. And so as we're working with these boys on a day-to-day basis, the stuff that we discover and realize is just phenomenal. And the character company as an organization is trying to deal specifically with that. So one of the major issues that we are facing in our society today is a complete lack of identity. When I ask myself, who am I? My identity is often linked at the car that I drive, or the work that I do, the relationship that I'm in, maybe my husband or my wife, or my children, or there's just so many things that becomes my identity. That is who I am. So seldomly do we take an opportunity to stop for a moment and just go, I'm actually so much more than that. I'm actually someone with a particular set of skills and a particular set of emotions that are dealing with all of these other things, and these are relationships that I'm going through. But the ultimate question is, who am I? And for a boy growing up with an absent father, that is a big question, and it's a big challenge to constantly look for that question. And often, we carry that almost as like a cloak, and that builds a low self-esteem. It builds a lack of confidence. And that becomes also very obvious, I think, out there. And then other boys that are dealing with the same stuff about identity, but have found a different way and maybe a bit more bullish in coping with it, they are the ones that then kind of dish us out to those of us that have carried this kind of almost as something that bears and weighs you down. And that creates an environment where already you're struggling with low self-esteem, and now you get bullied at school, and you're searching for purpose, and you don't always know where to find that, and that kind of carries throughout your life. So it has been a great challenge for us to try and look at that gap and saying, well, how do we deal essentially with that? And one of the things that we've discovered is that it's actually so simple. For us, mentorship becomes discipleship, and I want to tell you a little bit more about what that means from the original root of that word. So when we look at this, we realize that it's so much more than just, spending time with someone and perhaps telling them about career choices. And this is really walking a road. And if we look at our country at this stage, our society, we have when we use the word culture, we always think, well, my culture is I'm a white Afrikaans guy, or I'm a Zulu woman, or I'm a whatever I want to associate as my culture. But one of the things that we don't often think about is that it's almost like in our country right now, the overwhelming culture, more than all of those things, and dictating our lives more than even our culture as we see it, is that we have a culture of anxiety and anger that is just so obviously, if we look around us, the way, if you spend some time on the road and you spend some time, just talking to people and observing people in the shops, it's really, we are anxious. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be anxious. We live in a beautiful country, and we get to camp a lot, so that's we spend time in the outdoors, and it's amazing. But this country is made difficult to live in by a lot of anxious and angry people. And that anxiety and anger is what fuels us, and it's what's driving so much of what we're experiencing. And that has become our culture. And what we want to do is we want to take that and we want to replace that with a culture of mentorship. And essentially what that means is that every man and woman, but we're working with boys and trying to change behavior in men. Every man should have a mentor, which is someone a generation or two older than him that can speak into his life. And every man should then be paying that forward to someone and using that advice and guidance. And it's not like trying to be clever and using a sentence packed with massive words found in Google search. It's about just being there and walking a process with someone where we are asking the straight questions and the right questions, and we're doing so in absolute love. And we can say, that joke that you just laughed at, or that comment that you just made, do you really think that's appropriate? Do you have a value system in your life? And since we share a value system, where does that fit into that? And that's what mentorship really is about. And if every one of us can have a mentor that's speaking to our life, and we can then pay that forward to someone else, it means that suddenly we start having this thread right through that connects all of us. And every single person then gets mentored and mentored. And so at some point, one of those guys are mentoring a group of young boys, and as they grow up and come through our program, they become mentors themselves. And you can see how this starts changing. Now, can you imagine a country and a society where we have men with a strong value system, honesty, courage, kindness, respect, and self-discipline, and that live that every day? Imagine, I often think of a picture of our cabinet, somewhere in the future with these boys that we're raising. And I'm thinking, can you imagine a country where that is, where those are the guys that are in power? Imagine corporates that are working on these principles. And so essentially for us that is so important. So we want to take that massive gap that's created because men are broken and we are struggling, and we want to start filling that and start building into that and start giving purpose and identity more than anything else, to understand who am I, and therefore I don't have to work at trying to be someone else. I can just be myself, and in that space I can just be the best I can possibly be. And by doing that, we can create a culture where we have men that are accountable, that are responsible, men that will look at this world in a different space, and essentially help us just to make it a much better place and a much nicer place to live in.
So what does our mentorship mean to the boys that we are mentoring on a weekly basis? It's where the boys come and find a place of belonging, where they discover and build their identity. You know, it's an essential part to know who you are and know your strengths and your weaknesses. It's not about like just going there and sitting and teaching. For us, it's also more about relationship building with the boys, you know, like building the relationship and trust so that the boys can actually feel free to talk about the issues and the challenges that they face on a weekly, on a daily basis. So it is actually working for the boys because they go and then ask for help when they have problems. So it also builds their confidence, you know, self-esteem, because we actually struggle with this if we don't have a person to guide us through this, a person to hold our hand and to tell us, no, you're good enough.
As you all know, we are a mentorship program for boys growing up with an absent father or the lack of a positive male role model. And I think for me, there's a lot of value in mentorship. Not only do we get to sit down and spend time with the boys and talk about important life skills and values, but it's really an opportunity to identify the potential in them and to help them develop that. So at the end of the day, it's not about making them more like you, but it's really about identifying that potential in them, which is already there, and just helping them to bring it out. And I think that's what I really enjoy about, you know, being a mentor and being part of the Character Company. So one of the things that's a big part of our program is our camps. It is something we do often. We camp twice a month at this stage, and it is something we love, and it's something that the boys love. And it's another wonderful opportunity for us to really speak into the lives of the boys. It's a great opportunity to discuss important things, important life skills, values, but what camp brings to the table is that sense of adventure. And there's a lot of opportunities where the boys get exposed to new experiences and new challenges. They constantly have to challenge themselves. It might be on the hike we do, it might be the jump into the river, it might be an abseil, or some of the games and activities we do that requires some teamwork. So there's so many opportunities at camp. And with that said, we have been given a piece of land on the farm where we do all our camping. It's an incredible family that owns the farm that absolutely share the heart for what we do. And they were happy to give us a portion that we can develop and do what we need to do so that we can reach more boys, that we can have a bigger variety of activities for the boys. Yeah, that brings me to our camp development plan, and we'd love to share that with you guys. Right now, we've broken it up into 6 phases. There's so much you can do, there's so much we would love to do, but we also realize that it won't necessarily happen all in one go. So we've broken it up into 6 phases in order of importance, and that's how we'll tackle it. And hopefully by the end of this year we can have a phase or 2 complete. So the phases we have in mind, the first phase would be our kitchen, storage and first sleeping container setup. That will already allow us to move most of our activity away from the hall that we're currently using. And the reason we want to move away from the hall is because the farm, the owners would like to use it for other functions and other groups. So moving away from there will allow them to do that. Second phase would be to put a roof over this kitchen, storage and first sleeping container. Having the roof will allow us to facilitate sessions even when it's raining, and it will also be the area where we eat when it's breakfast, lunch or dinner time. Third phase would be ablutions. So right now we've got shower facilities at the new campsite, but there's no toilet facility, so we will have to look at expanding and building toilets. Otherwise it would mean walking back up to the hall to use the toilet, and that won't be ideal. Fourth phase will be additional sleeping containers. So there's already been certain areas set out for more sleeping containers. The fifth phase will be changing a part of the open land and making it a soccer or rugby field. So that would mean cleaning the area and planting a different kind of grass that's more suitable for playing rugby and soccer. And then our last phase would be developing some obstacles that the boys can use, that we'll use to facilitate some of our activities. So that's basically the 6 phases that we're looking at. And then there is some future plans for high ropes and low ropes courses as well. But yeah, having these 6 phases completed will allow us to move away from the hall completely, and we'll be running our own campsite, and that's really exciting for us. We cannot wait for that to happen. So thank you again for letting us share about the Character Company and the plans we have for our campsite development. We really do appreciate it, so thank you so much.
Hi guys, I'm back. So somewhere in our video, one of the things that you would have noticed that we spoke about our coffee brand. So here in our office, where a lot of the gears are grinding for the Character Company, one of the things I think that keeps us afloat most of the time is the fact that we are very serious about good coffee. And so it was inevitable at some point that because we take it so seriously, that we had an opportunity to start our own coffee brand. And so we were presented with a great opportunity, something that we have not been able to utilize to its full capacity, because our business really is to raise boys to be good men. And so we have not been able to start up this is a proper business. But we have started our own coffee brand called Menandi Roast. I've showed you a little packet like that a while back. It's available in 250 grams, and we've got a 1 kilo bag, freshly roasted, comes in ground beans and whole beans. Just not at all in decaf, because drinking decaf coffee is essentially like kissing your sister. So it's the idea here is that we would have a product that we can use, so that it doesn't just become a situation of NGOs going to corporates or to people and saying, listen, we want. And whilst we are doing great stuff with it, we wanted to have an opportunity to have some kind of a value exchange. And so Menandi Coffee really offers a great opportunity for us to do that. We have a strong and a good product that provides an opportunity that, since we believe that coffee makes the world a better place in many ways, that every sip that you take of some Menandi coffee makes the world a better place in more ways than one. And not just do you cope and can drink coffee for the sake of other people around you and get through your day, without any criminal charges against you for the best part of it. It also means that every single cup of coffee that you have using Menandi Roast is in some way sponsoring a boy to get to a camp. We use it exclusively to support our camp cost, and all the proceeds for this is coming back to the Character Company, so all the profits. And so what's amazing is that Brew Coffee Roasters, that's here based in Krugersdorp, they are providing this to us at cost. They package it for us. You can see it's some really nice packaging, some really classy stuff. Lots of great explanations back there. We call it our 5 values blend. So it's five coffee beans, each one representing one of our values, and it's a really unique product. It's our very own. And so one of the opportunities that is available, or at least to look at into consideration, is how do we use this opportunity to market this better? So we don't have a distribution network for it. So people either order it online and then have to arrange to pick it up, or send a courier, but courier cost is very expensive. So I think that's probably where our biggest challenge lies as far as making this a bigger product. But a 250 gram we sell for 65 Rand, which is kind of below the market average. And our 1 kilo bag, this is sold for 210 Rand. So that's a really good price for a bit of a bulk there. But one of the nice things that we are able to do is that when you have someone, imagine a corporate like you guys, that buy their coffee from us, only supply Manandi roast, it means that we can provide it for the same price as you get it anywhere else. So if you've got a corporate arrangement already and you're buying coffee, or any other corporate for that matter, or a coffee shop, or the guy that maybe at the spa or something, the opportunity for us is that because of the way that our agreement with Brew Coffee Roasters and the fact that they're giving it to us at cost means that there's no overheads for us in this. We basically cannot lose money on the product because they roast it fresh for us, they package for us. And so from placing the order, 4 or 5 days later, we have the coffee available, absolutely fresh. We don't have to keep massive stock around. And so it's a safe opportunity for us. And because of that, it's such a great business opportunity. Unfortunately, like I said, we don't have the capacity to run this as a business. I always think that this is a wonderful business opportunity lying ready for any entrepreneur that wants to take it up. And through the process provides a space that we can use as a funding tool. So if you want to throw that into your mix, then that'll be great. And otherwise, at some point, at least try to order some from us and help us to put a boy at a camp. But also, it's really worthwhile and it's a really nice product to enjoy.